Hey, John Cruz here, and I get the question asked quite a bit from anglers. Now, anglers that have been fishing a long time, what is your drop shot setup? Now, that may seem like a very basic question. Sometimes you got to bring it back down to the 100 level classes. So this is going to be drop shotting setup 101. You need to have the setup first before you get really deep into the technique. Make sure you have the right setup so you know what you're doing. First of all, I'm going to start with the rod. I have found over the years a little bit longer rod really makes a big difference. I'm lucky enough to design a drop shot rod for caching, and so my perfect rod is 7 foot 4 inches. And you know, years ago I started out fishing with like actually a 6/8 spinning rod. It did an okay job, and then I moved up to a 7 foot spinning rod. I felt like I had more leverage. I liked that better. And so then I went to a 7.3, and I've even tried a 7.6. 7.6 for me almost seems a little bit cumbersome. I still can't get the exact placement on cast like I like. So the 7 foot 4 inch seems to be exactly what I like. And within my perfect balance, I like that soft tip. I want some backbone to the rod, but I want that tip to be soft because I like to drop shot with light line. We'll get to that in a minute, but that's the rod portion of it. You need to make sure that is the right setup rod. You don't want to have too stiff of a rod. That's the big thing to avoid. The other thing I did with this drop shot rod is I put the little weight keeper, and I counterbalance the rod so that it stays balanced. As you can see right there where you hold the rod stays balanced. Most rods go like that, so you're having to hold the rod up. That's just one of the things when I got to design my dream rods, what I did. But going down into the reel, you want to get with your drop shot, once you get accustomed to it and get used to it, you're going to be fishing a drop shot quite a bit. So you want to get the best reel that you can afford. And again, we talked about lighter line, 6-7 pound test. So you want to get a reel that has a very smooth drag. This is a Daiwa Ballistic LT reel, and the drag is just, buttery smooth. I don't know that I've fished a spinning reel with a drag any smoother than this. So you want a nice spinning reel. Some people can't afford this. I get it. I understand that. You just want a good reel with this is a 3,000 size. That's key. 2,500 is okay. It's a little bit small, but I like that 3,000 size. The spool's a little bit bigger. Line handle's a little bit better. So then as I'm working up my rig, I like 12-pound braided line. That works really well. I have as my baseline. This is Sunline X Plasma. It's really, really smooth. It doesn't absorb water, which is nice for, when the wind's blowing and your line's moving through the water, you don't have as much tension on the line. That is good. And then once you get down to the braid, all the braid coming up, you get down to where your leader is. I've had a lot of people ask about the leader knot. Before you can even ask, this is an FG knot. This right here, this little knot, it is super smooth, and it is super strong when it's tied correctly. It's called an FG knot. If you look on one of my other YouTube videos, look in the how-tos, look under the knots, you can see exactly how to tie that FG knot. I explain the whole thing, but that's key. And then down to my leader, with a drop shot, I'm gonna be throwing 6, 7, or 8 pound test the most. I like Sunline FC Sniper. That's what I prefer. I've got a lot of confidence in it. I don't think that there's much better as far as fluorocarbons go. Get the best that you can afford. There are a few other high-end fluorocarbons, but the thing about using braid in a fluorocarbon leader is that you buy one spool of braid and one spool of fluorocarbon, and you're done for at least a year. You could probably fish those same 2 spools for 2 years. So you can really save a lot of money, because when your line gets frayed and gets worn, you just put a new leader on there and you're good to go. So then I like about a 20-foot leader. That's what I like from where I hit that FG knot down to the business end, which we're finally getting to. And this is a #1 Gamakatsu EWG hook. If I'm gonna be Texas rigging, that's the hook that I like. If I'm gonna be nose hooking, which I'll show you here in just a second, I'm gonna be using this right here. This is the G-Finesse #1. I have caught hundreds and hundreds of fish on that particular hook. There is not a better drop shot hook for hookup percentages, landing percentages, fish not coming off. Of course, I've lost a couple, as with any hook, but I fished a bunch of different hooks before I settled on this one. The hookup and landing ratio is unbelievable. I mean, it's in the high 90 percentile for those. But and then down here onto the bottom, I've got a little drop shot weight. This is a 3/32 ounce weight, a very light weight, and it's a relatively short leader. So your leader length doesn't always have to be, I see most everybody's got a foot to a foot and a half. That can work really well. If you're making longer like casting it, I like having a little bit longer, 12 to 18 inches. If you're going to be making shorter pitches, pitching it to cover, I actually like a little bit shorter leader. I feel like that hook being closer to the weight helps it get through the cover a little bit better. I feel like that the fish bite it a little bit better. Again, you just have to adjust, try different things. Try a 2-foot leader, try a 1-foot leader, try a 6-inch leader. Do not be afraid to try a very short 2, 3, 4, 5-inch leader like I have right here. Do not be afraid to try that at all. But my preferred leader length that I probably fish more than anything is 7 pound. It's that happy medium between 6 and 8. If I'm fishing around a little bit heavier cover, like I'm skipping around or up under these docks, throwing around brush, heavier stuff, I'll bump up to 8. If I'm gonna go really heavy, around cypress trees and things like that, I'll bump up to 10, but I really don't feel there's much need to go up above 10 when I'm fishing a drop shot, even around cover. 10-pound test, you gotta have some really, really big fish with shoulders to do any damage on that. But this is, like I said, 7 pounds, probably what I fish the most. And the lighter weights, I get back to the weight size, I'd probably start out with a 1/8 ounce for all around. Yeah, my go-to used to be a 1/4 ounce. And over the years, I found that a 1/4 ounce, you get hung up a fair amount. And then once I started going down, this is only a couple years ago, I've been fishing a drop shot for close to 20 years, but just in the last few years, I've started getting lighter with my weights, especially when I'm fishing them shallow. I throw that bait out there, the weight does not have to be on the bottom for those fish to bite it. You throw it over there, you can get that lighter weight, comes through brush and cover really, really well. You can actually skip it a little bit when you're getting under an 1/8 ounce. Skip that bait up under some places if you have a little, especially if you have your drop shot bait with a little more bulk to it. But this is a Little Missile Baits bomb shot. It's exactly what I would like for a smaller drop shot bait. Sometimes longer drop shot baits are preferred when you want to give a little bit bigger presence. But if I want a little small presence, the Little Missile Baits bomb shot is what I prefer. So I'm just going to show you, as you can see, exactly how this is. I'm going to take and I'm going to show you next what this bait looks like when it's nose hooked. This is the rig I have for the weight, or for the extra wide gap style. You could see how it was rigged on there. It was Texposed. But when I put it on this hook, I'm going to take, and I'm not going to hang it like I do a jig chunk. That is not, because that will cause line twist. I don't like it like that. I'm going to go right up under the throat, slide it right through so that that hook point is sticking out. And what that does is it makes that bait come straight through the water column. And as you're reeling that bait in, it does not spin, and you catch a really high percentage of your fish like that. That is how I like to fish it on that Finesse drop shot hook, the G-Finesse drop shot hook. That is the way to rig it right there. Excellent rigs, excellent way to rig it. And so I don't know about you, but I want to see what that thing looks like underwater. Let's take a look. man, now that is what I'm talking about. That thing looks sweet under the water. I don't know about you, but I'm gonna get here and put this drop shot to work, see if I can't catch one.